Welcome to episode 4, Curtain Panels and Butt Joints. In this tutorial we'll cover the creation of 4 curtain wall families. The first will be a basic, non-parametric family. The second will be a parametric family with an origin point. The third will be a family with a parametric extension. The fourth will be a family with a parametric inset and offset. I'll start by creating a new project with the architectural template, zoom into the north elevation marker, and create a new wall. I'm going to start with the storefront wall and make some quick edits for usability. I'll add some curtain grids. For an out-of-the-box family, this is an okay geometric representation. But as we evolve our modeling requirements, we'll need to customize the way this is displayed in the geometric and parametric properties. This is the default panel, and we can see that we can change the location of the curtain wall panel forward and backwards, and we can see how it's joined in the corner. I'll start by creating a new family and choose the curtain wall panel template. I'll go to the exterior view and create a rectangle and lock the 4 sides. I'll quickly flex it to see if it works well. I'll then go back to the plan view and give the extrusion start and end a value of plus or minus 1/2 inch. If you want to make the thickness parametric, this would be a good time to do so. I'll save this as 0 basic and load it back into the project. Back in the project, I'll swap out the default panel for our new 0 basic component. This is what it looks like in isometric view. There are no parametric values, but now it's a component, even if it is ugly. Back in the 0 basic family. The hosting work plane here says it's the front, but it's not really. It's the center line of the component of the wall, and it's absolute to that hosting curtain wall. I'll create a new reference plane, change the reference to center front back, make it the origin, and then rename it. I'll name the front reference plane, change the reference to front. I'll create an offset parameter so we can control where it sits in the curtain wall. I'll save it as 1 origin and back and load it in. So let's select this panel and we'll swap it out for the origin and back. But you can see that not much has happened, and even if we change the value of the offset parameter and the type, the model doesn't accept it. Let's go back to the previous family and undo some of the work. I'll show you my preferred method. I'll start by creating a new reference plane up front. I'll give it an offset parameter so we can control where it sits in the curtain wall. I'll go through the process of renaming the reference planes and swap out the center from the front. I'll select the geometry and change the hosted work plane to the front. Let's flex the offset parameter, and if it works well, we'll save it. I'll call this one 2 new front and load it back in. Back in the project, I'll create a new curtain wall grid, and I'll swap out this panel for the new 2 front. You can see by the geometry sitting proud that we can now control its location within the curtain wall. Let's change the offset from 4 inches to 2 inches, and we can see that it moves backwards. We can measure the location of the geometry in the curtain wall and confirm it reflects the parametric values in the family. I'll edit the family and add controls to flip it forward and backwards about the center line. I'll load it back in. And now you can see that if we toggle the front and backwards controls, it'll flip about that center line. This is a pretty basic family, and it now does exactly what the default system panels do. But here's where the fun begins. I'll move this curtain wall out of the way and create a new curtain wall with a perpendicular return. I'll show you what it looks like when you trim them. I'll extend the two ends past each other and trim it. We can swap out the mullions here into a quad corner or any other corner mullion condition. We can even delete the mullions and see the glass joint with a pretty offset. And this works well for schematic design or even 50% DD. I'll swap these panels out with our new panels. I can select the panel, unpin it, and swap out the Type 2 to new front. One thing we're going to have to do is extend the edge of this curtain panel so that it can extend to the face of the adjacent glass. I'll edit the to new front. I'll create a new reference plane on the right side and give it a dimension. I'll go to the exterior view, edit the profile of the extrusion, and lock the edge to the new reference plane. I'll give the extension a 1.5 inch length parameter called extension. I'll change it to 2 inches to flex. And if it works, I'll save it as 3 extension and load it back into the project. Let's swap out this panel for the new extension family. I'll flex the offset from 2 inches down to 0 inches so it aligns with the center of the wall. We'll change the extension to 1/2 inch, which will bring it to the face of the adjacent glazing. One challenge we'll face is that the extension on the side panel will have to move inward. And since we can't create a negative value, we'll create a geometry cut. So let's edit this family. We'll start by creating a reference line inside of the edge of the glazing. I'll rename the extension to offset length. I'll create a new parameter for inset length and set it to 2 inches. I'll change the offset length to 0 inches to flex, and then I'll change it back to 2 inches. So go to the exterior view, select the curtain panel and hide the geometry temporarily, and create a void extrusion. Turn off the cuts geometry as a default in the properties dialog box. Draw the rectangle and lock it up. Go back to the plan and give the geometry a front and back extrusion. I'll choose 3/4 of an inch in each direction. We'll give the void a cutting parameter called inset cut and put it under the construction group. I'll do a quick save as for butt joint and load it in and close it. Back in the project, I'll swap out the front panel for the new butt joint. I'll expand the butt joint family and create 2 new types, butt front and butt side. I'll swap the side panel for butt side. We'll change the butt front offset length to 1/2 inch, and you can see it's flush with the side panel. And change the butt side 0 inches from the center, and the inset length to 1 inch, due to the 1/2 inch glazing offset and the 1/2 inch of silicone. Unfortunately, I just realized I forgot to create a flip control, so let's edit the family, add this flip control, and reload it. Back in the project, I can toggle the control, and you can see that it works out. Now you can see in this area between the two panels will be the silicone butt joint. In an exterior assembly, you'll have a silicone joint, but on some interior assemblies, you may leave this open for aesthetic decisions. At this point, we now have a fairly parametric butt joint where we can control the extension and the inset. Now I'll edit the family, add an object style and some material values so that I can give it some control back in the project, and I'll load it back in. At this point, the family for butt joint is complete, and I would save it to my library, and I would use it on future projects. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode.